Welcome to the Fate of Ukraine channel. On the anniversary of the war, statements came from countries one after another. Russia, on the other hand, took action against Ukraine's western neighbor. China, Putin's closest ally, also made a critical statement. Stating that the outcome of the war could no longer be changed, Beijing angered Putin. Kremlin also said that China's offer was unacceptable. Beijing's statements confused Moscow. Russia has launched a psychological war on a new front. The first year of the war is now officially over. Critical statements made officially revealed the situation of the Russian army. Military analysts stated that during the war, the Russian army carried out approximately 5,000 missile attacks on Ukrainian territory and approximately 3,500 airstrikes with aircraft. In addition, Russia has attacked Ukraine about 100 times with UAVs in the last year. In the last period of intense clashes, the advance of the Russian soldiers officially stopped. The Ukrainian army quite successfully defended their homeland. It's only a matter of time before a global war begins, right after Kremlin's plans are laid. Following these developments, statements were made one after another from Western countries, NATO, and Russia. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky saluted the people resisting the Russian army. Making a statement on his social media account for the anniversary, Zelensky defined the remaining 365 days with the words pain, grief, trust, and unity. "We survived, we were not defeated. And this year we will do everything to win," said Vladimir Zelensky, who promised victory to Ukrainians and the rest of the world over Russian army in the second year of the war. Zelensky also said, "Ukraine surprised the world. Ukraine inspired the world. Ukraine united the world." You can say thousands of words for proof, but a few are enough. HIMARS, Patriot, Abrams, IRIS-T, Challenger, NASAMS, Leopard, the leader thanked. The weapons mentioned by Vladimir Zelensky include the ammunition and systems that the USA and Western countries have shipped to Ukraine so far. Ministry of Defense of Ukraine announced that its troops are preparing for a counterattack. Declaring that its support for Ukraine is determined, NATO said that Russia failed to break the resolve of the brave Ukrainian people. The alliance, which asked Vladimir Putin to immediately end the illegitimate war, reiterated that it would support the Kyiv administration until Ukraine won. At the end of the first year of the war, statements came from Dmitry Medvedev, a well-known name from Russia. Dmitry Medvedev, the right-hand man of Vladimir Putin, who stood out as the name that made the most violent exits in Moscow since the beginning of the war, argued that Russia would reach the Polish border. Medvedev, the former leader of Russia, who is currently the head of the Security Council, stated that they are ready to fight the threats up to the Polish border, defending that they will achieve victory in Ukraine. Medvedev shared the aforementioned messages on his Telegram channel. Beijing, a close ally of Moscow, requested that Ukraine and Russia hold peace talks with a 12-point document it published. Arguing that dialogue and negotiation are the valid way to end the crisis, China has not condemned Russia for the war so far. The 12-point document also called for the use of nuclear weapons in warfare. After Moscow's strategic ally China published an official 12-point document, reactions came from the Kremlin. United States responded instantly to Beijing. The news published by German magazine Der Spiegel turned the agenda upside down. In the war initiated by the Russian leader, Western intelligence agencies estimate that Russians lost 200,000 soldiers at the front. Vladimir Putin declared a partial mobilization in September 2022 and sent 300,000 more reserve soldiers to the front. The declaration of mobilization was implemented on the territory of Russia for the first time since the Second World War. However, Putin had resisted for months, not taking the decision in question. But not all of Putin's decisions have worked. Last week, there was a sensitive visit from Russia's close ally China to Moscow. Putin welcomed Wang Yi, China's most senior diplomat, with open arms at Kremlin. Relations between Moscow and Beijing reached a new turning point. The visit came just hours after the US announced that the Beijing administration would change its strategy. Washington states that China plans to supply arms and ammunition to Russia, which is fighting Ukraine. China, on the other hand, called on Russia and Ukraine to negotiate today, and Beijing warned against using nuclear weapons. In the official statement made by Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the anniversary of the war, the parties were asked to start peace talks as soon as possible. Military analysts also made statements due to these statements of China. Analysts stated that Beijing administration made such a statement because Russia, an ally of China, accepted that it could no longer achieve success in any way. China no longer has hope from Russia. That's why Russia's ally is trying to stop Putin. On the other hand, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg stated that Beijing administration does not have much credibility for the proposal brought by China. The 12-item document on the website of Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs also openly opposed Putin's move to use nuclear weapons, which he voiced many times. China fears that it could use nuclear weapons if a nuclear-powered state is cornered. That is why the Beijing administration is trying to take the necessary measures. However, Russian officials stated that the articles published by China were unacceptable. Although the Russian authorities make a statement, the end of this matter depends on what Putin thinks. Immediately after these events, the German Chancellor made a bomb-like statement. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz promised to support Ukraine as much as necessary and called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the war. The German Chancellor made a statement saying, "Putin has been defeated, he must end the war." The Berlin administration officially declared that Moscow was defeated. However, a flash statement came from Russia. Moscow announced the new front of the war to the world. While the world was locked into the step that China would take regarding Russia, a flash statement came from Moscow. Russia announced the new front of the war to the world and gave an ultimatum to Ukraine with the promise that the most appropriate answer will be given. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed, without providing any evidence, that the Ukrainian troops would launch a new offensive. According to Russian officials, Moscow said that the most appropriate response would be given to this, claiming that the so-called Ukrainian soldiers were massed on the border of the separatist region of Moldova. But Russia does not have any evidence at the moment. Moldova has also warned in recent weeks that Russia is plotting to seize power. Government officials dismissed Kremlin's allegations as a psychological operation conducted as part of the war. Moldovan State Minister Bl0w made a critical statement, saying, "The Ministry of Defense believes this is part of a psychological operation rather than a real plan." Moldovan President Sandu talked about security issues during his visit to his neighboring country, Romania. Sandu said, "Some want our country to fall and a new government be formed in the capital Chisinau." The president made a statement. Moldova does not have a NATO membership. However, in June last year, it gained European Union candidate status on the same day as Ukraine. Moldovan leader met last week with American President Joe Biden, who pledged to support his country's independence. With a population of 2.6 million, Moldova is known as one of the poorest countries in Europe. The war in Ukraine also affected the country a lot. The German magazine Der Spiegel wrote that Russia and China have agreed to deliver kamikaze drones. In the news, it was claimed that China will deliver the first 100 kamikaze drones to Russia in April. The Chisinau administration, which had great problems in terms of energy due to Russia's restrictions on gas flow to the country, also faced major problems in this regard with the hit of Ukraine's energy facilities. We have come to the end of another video. You can like the video to support us. By subscribing, you can easily follow new videos. See you.